My guy, what's one thing you have no doubt about?
I would say that growth is necessary, and what got us here ain't gonna get us there.
Say no more.
I know it's God's favor for the position I'm in. And all them losses took the toll, so now I savor my wins. I work with niggas I looked up to, now they hate on my pen. And I can't explain these transitions and these phases I'm in.
Y'all already know what time it is, man. Before we get started, you know we gotta highlight our Black-owned brand of the day. And today I just so happen to be with the CEO, founder, owner, operator, curator of Zima Industries, my brother, Mr. Jason Clark.
Thank you for the opportunity. My name is Jason Clark, founder and CEO of Zima Industries, a pre-seed life science or pre-seed biotech company. You can find us at Zima Industries, XYMA Industries.com. You can find our LinkedIn, Zima Industries, same thing, XYMA Industries. And then you can reach out via email, info@zimaindustries.com. Just to connect with me individually, Zima Industries, again, XYMA Industries @gmail.com. Love.
So without further ado, enjoy the show. So what got us here is not gonna get us there. Tell me more about that.
I would say, for myself, I'm in a new chapter, right? And that chapter really came from being humbled, you know? And I say, what got me through my life to thus point, maybe 4 years ago, even 6-10 months ago, right? Isn't going to get me there, meaning I can't be disconnected from my emotions. I got to be able to sit in how I feel and actually label it, you know? So.
And so prior to, I know you, but, for those who don't, prior to, you would consider yourself kind of closed off, internalize everything, vulnerability, lacking the vulnerability to speak out, to let people know how you feel, or what exactly does that mean, the connection with your emotions? Is it just internally? Is it with peer-to-peer, person-to-person, friend-to-friend? Expound on that.
Great question. I would say, just to kind of alter what you said in the response piece, so I would say it's not necessarily like I was unable to say how I felt or communicate how I felt. I would do it with very few people, right?
Yeah.
And then accompanying that piece, oftentimes when people ask me how I felt, I would more often than not say nothing. And because I literally felt nothing inside. Mm-hmm. So navigating through my emotional self to say, oh, can I cuss?
Yeah.
To say, oh shit, like I'm sitting on a lot of things that I thought I dealt with, but now new situations, whether it be love and different relationships, are challenging me to do the work and practice being aware of the internals.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And how long would you say you were aware that you were doing that or neglecting that part of your expression, your feelings, your emotions?
My whole life.
Whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into it. Like, who is Jason Clark? Because, we got that synopsis of where you are currently, but what's the origin of Jason Clark?
So, for clarity, right? Are we more so talking about just the adolescence or the adult piece, or just?
Yeah, let's go backwards to go forward. Start all the way from conception. How even your story is a unique story of how you got here, how you were born. So initially from there, go backwards and then go forward.
So for me, I was raised by a single mother, but I was fortunate enough to be able to have a stepfather and a brother, in the background, but really just the forefront, the glue that I needed.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't raised by my biological father because he didn't have that luxury to physically be there because it was out of his control. So my father did 30 years in prison. And it was one of those situations where around the time I was maybe 6 or 7, you know, I would go visit him, see him, spend time with him. But then I would always go into these little spaces of, I just want my dad.
Yeah.
But then because my stepfather was there, but my stepfather, you know, all the love in the world to a place or to a point. But nonetheless, it's like he helped me understand what it meant to be consistent, just as a constant in somebody's life. Even though it was never emotional, it was always just like he was a placeholder for me. And with that in mind, it got to a point where I would talk to my dad, and because he's from, you know, the streets of Baltimore City and grew up in the 80s, was born in like 67, I believe, it put him in a situation where, because he had nothing, the only way he could communicate was by giving money. And because of how he was raised, and, you know, his mother wasn't really in the house, and he was just raised by his 2 sisters, my 2 aunts.
Yeah.
So it put him in a situation where he didn't have the tools to communicate to his son, right? So naturally, he would talk to me at different points like I was just another kid from the street, as opposed to him talking to an extension of himself, right? That could really process. Of course, I say this like, I believe I could have processed it if he would have been like, hey, Jason, I know you're 8, 9, 10.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get out till you're probably 26, 27.
Yeah.
As much as I say I could have just heard that, I don't think I could have. Right.
You probably would you think you wouldn't even be able to receive it like at that young age to comprehend what that really meant? Because I don't mean to cut you off, but I think this is an important part in your story where you talk about, you knowing who your dad is, your biological father, but then the person who's constant, who's doing the action, who's your stepfather at a time where he's there, right, all the time.
Right.
How does one differentiate when, like, you see somebody constant in the house all the time, you're around that person constant all the time. How do you differentiate, like, oh, this is, like, that's my dad who's not here.
Right.
And this is my stepfather / placeholder / however you associate, your emotions or feelings towards that individual.
That's a great point. I would say I'm a kind of ping and pong back between recent past, meaning like 2 years ago, and then, like you said, to that adolescence point, right? So I would say going 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So this is 2022. I'm in a space in my life where, like I said in the beginning, what got me here isn't going to get me there. So I was at a point in my life where I knew I kept asking my mother questions about me. Like, for me, I've always just had an anger within me that I could never really understand. And I remember one of my closest friends always told me, if someone ever has children, to be mindful of the state of mind they're in when they are conceiving. Because it could be a situation where you're in a certain place of struggle and you may pass that to your child. And a part of me feels like it always felt like, I don't think I'm a naturally angry person. Like, where is this coming from? And then I couldn't process it. I couldn't understand it. So with that in mind, it put me in spaces where the more questions I had, the more my mother couldn't answer them anymore.
Right.
But it had gotten to that point because she had tried to protect me to a point because of her own things that she didn't quite want to tell me because she thought I may look at her differently. So that being, when me and my father connected at the age of 26, 27 for me, I found out that I was a conjugal visit. And a lot of how I sat in that was like, I started to internalize, I guess, or build a story of him by the time, I was 6 all the way to 25, right?
Did that correlate to how you possibly felt your mother could have thought your mother would have thought that you would think of her differently because of that particular, I guess, big portion of the story?
Exactly, right?
Gotcha.
So painting the picture for you, a part of me always thought like my father being who he was and amassing what he amassed at like 18, 19, 20, 21,
Yeah.
and having a certain amount of money or a certain amount of credentials or being known in Baltimore or however you want to put it, right?
Right.
I thought he had to be some kind of a monster. No heart, no soul.
Gotcha.
And a bigger part of me felt like my mother was just a part of the notch. You feel me? So in that thought process, I had to start really peeling back layers and asking my mother, like, hey, how was that relationship actually for you?
Yeah.
And even still, and I credit this to moms, wholeheartedly. Like, I'm super blessed that she never, ever downed my father, never talked bad about him. And I made the conscious decision to say, I don't want to have a relationship with you, to my father. Mm-hmm. And it put me in a space where I got tired of being let down. Of, hey, I'll be there this year, I'll be there that year, I'll be there that year. So then by the time I was maybe like 10, 11, I turned everything off because I got tired of being let down.
Gotcha. Wow. And that's short. It's funny how, we don't have children, but to be around kids and see how honest they are, right? And just very innocent, honest, say what's on your mind. Mm-hmm. And to hear you recall how you were feeling at the age of 10 or 11, to be able to process, be like, yeah, I don't want this anymore. Like, that in itself is just, it's amazing how the human mind works, and us as the adolescents to be able to really, like, make sense of that. And so from then on, that gap between there, what would you say it just went downhill? What were some other things that contributed to it? I know you had some loss, you being from Baltimore area, and I'm sure your mom, she kept you away from most of that stuff afterwards, even during, like, you weren't in the streets, but you knew of them, but you did acquire some loss during that time. And so just walk us through from, that elementary, middle, and kind of, maybe fast track, maybe not, full, or however you like, but walk us through how you got to, here. Because I think there's just a big gap between how long you carried that for. Because we're going to get to the part where you got free, but how long you carried that for. Like, I want people to understand how long and what you were going through for that amount of time.
So I think that's the nuance of it, because I always knew I was lacking something, but I guess a part of me thought it was just confidence somehow. So in turn, whether it be like, okay, so we both hooped our entire life, right? Yeah. For me, I didn't hit 6 foot till I got to college. Right. So I always kind of felt like I'm not good enough to some extent. And that kind of put me in a situation where I started to build this confidence through means outside of myself. And putting that in perspective, it's like, I would say by the time I was maybe 11 or 10, I think, my grandmother passed, my father's mother. So she passed when he was in prison. So he never got to, see his mother buried, never got to, be that. And I know he holds a lot of that, right? Yeah. So in that same token, that was kind of the beginning, because like, that's granny, that's big mama, So sitting in that, it's like, I can say I have a couple memories, but I don't remember that many memories with it, right?
Gotcha.
But then over time, I noticed, like you said, I'm blessed to say I've never been in the streets, nothing like that. But having family, I can say, more than 75% of the men in my family, if not maybe 80, have all been incarcerated, you know? So that in and of itself helped me understand it's easy to, go down that path because I see what kind of, happens from it, right? Yeah. But it's harder to sit there and say, I'm gonna just take a long route, you know? So in the context of that, by the time I started to hit, I would say like 18, that's when like homeboys, cousins started getting killed. My younger cousin, he got, my older cousin, he was in the streets, he got shot in the head, was in a coma for a while, and I just didn't see him. Just I don't know. It's not like I couldn't. I guess a part of me truthfully just couldn't connect to saying goodbye to him to some extent. And then his brother, younger brother, So three brothers, three cousins. The oldest got killed first. Then the youngest died the same way as the oldest, got shot in the head. And seeing him, you know, was like a damn, like this cuz like in the casket. And from that also kind of compiled on it. And, you know, then middle brother, my other cousin, he's in a very broken place.
Yeah.
And somebody tried to kill him. So he got put in a space to where now he has paranoia. So, you know, working to help put him in, you know, different shelters and things like that.
Yeah.
And then kind of closing the loop on that last piece, it's like I said, different homeboys, stuff like that, kind of over the period of time. And then I remember, so living in Atlanta, right? I came back, I visited Atlanta. I was with my lady at the time, and I was with moms. And I just randomly ran into him. But I ain't gonna hold you, it broke me.
Wow.
Like, I sat in it, and it was like, I'm seeing him, and he's homeless.
Yeah.
Like, teeth are gone, dirty, and like, growing up in Baltimore, it's like, I don't never give squeegee boys no money. We not on no corners. I'm not giving nobody no money because I'm not about to just give you a means to enable, right? And it's like sitting there, I just felt like I was talking to another fiend on a corner. And that hit a little differently because over time I kept thinking, all right, maybe if I'd have been there a little more, maybe if I'd have been home a little more, maybe if I'd have came back a little more, you know? Yeah.
Nah, I feel that. And despite all of that, like, your interests were very different. Like, even when we first met, it was this blank, caring, but to a certain extent, should I talk to him? Should I not? Like, the average, what do you call it? Intimidation factor. Your intimidation factor on 2K is all the way up. But from me and just my experience in dealing with individuals, it was like more of like an interest in the way in which we connected, you know, through Sigma. It was like, I want to figure out what's outside of this, like, or what's inside of this rather, because I saw the outside and it wasn't like you were just an a-hole or nothing like that, but it was just like you said, like, you could kind of feel, and now after hearing your story and obviously being close with you over the last 6 years, like, I know what that was, but from a standpoint, it was like, that's what empty looked like on the outside. But to get to know you more, there's so much on the inside that you wouldn't even know, like your artistic expression, the things that you like, the brains behind the operation, like science, like you have a science degree. I don't know about y'all, but I didn't do too well in science. I was in front of the class on my phone on science doing some things I shouldn't have been doing. But that's a whole different, whole different situation from what you were brought up in, from what you were surrounded by, for especially men being an influence in your life. But let's talk about some of that. I mean, your artistic expression. You have founded a biotech company.
Yes, sir.
Zima. Like, let's get right into that. Like, what first led you to science, and then we can get into the hobbies and stuff after that.
I would say what led me to science naturally was my mother. So my mother's a nurse. She's been a nurse for, I think, maybe creeping up on 20 years at this point.
Okay.
So she's done different contracts and different specialties. So she would always come home and have these stories. So she started out in dialysis, and anybody in the healthcare field knows dialysis is kind of like the most troubling area of nursing, because, if you're on dialysis, that's the point where you need that machine to live. And with that in mind, she would always tell me stories where it's like, I'd be like, hey, Mom, like, what you need or what you want, blah, 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 something like that. Any kind of, just checking in space. And she'd just be like, nothing. I got my health. And as a kid, you ain't trying to hear that.
Right.
Like, you trying to hear, like, oh, I'm happy, I'm sad, whatever the case is, right?
Yeah.
So in that thought process, it helped me sit into a lot of the stories she would tell me, like different cancer patients, whether it be somebody being in a relationship or being in a different country and not having family, and now they got a child and they're the only caregiver for the child, and now they have cancer, and then double on that, they're in abusive relationships, you know? So it's like, now it's starting to click, right?
Yeah.
So from there, I think naturally, I was always a curious kid.
Yeah.
I was always that little kid that ran away from parents and just explored and would get cussed out, you know, because I'm always on the other corner of the store or something like that, or an amusement park.
Yeah.
Just because it's like, oh, the trees or the stars or the sun or something like that. So I think for me, man, like naturally, I've always been a wanderer, like an explorer. I don't know if it has to do with like in a short attention span, but I've always enjoyed the world around me.
Yeah.
Right. So thinking about the bigger picture, like the universe, I've always enjoyed knowing that it's more than what we actually know. Right.
Yeah, for sure that.
But then on the back end, it's like the micro is a whole world that we can't see all around us, you know? So diving a little deeper into that, I would say what made me get a degree in biology, I started shadowing my dentist around 14.
Okay.
So from the time I was maybe 14 to 21, I was definitively going to be a dentist.
Yeah.
And from there, it kind of put me on a path where I just always wanted to know how things work.
Yeah.
I was always a curious kid, and I just wanted to find answers.
Yeah. And so, Zima, what is it? No, but Zima, what is Zima?
So Zima will be and is a global life science or biotechnology company with an emphasis specifically on medical devices.
Yep.
The overarching goal is for it to be a company to really be a navigational beacon of, we don't know this, but we figured it out. You know, being able to arrive at the unknown is the tagline to arrive at the unknown.
Yeah.
So being able to ask questions, being able to lean into a fear or being into a place to where it's like, we doing something that nobody's done before.
Yeah.
I don't think we can do it. It's like, nah, if anybody can do it, we can do it. And if we fail, cool.
Yeah.
Regulate from there.
There's like a hub for research, like essentially, like basic. I mean, because when you say, I don't think we can do it, but we can do it, or I don't know, but we can figure it out. Like there's trial in that. I know science is, I mean, if anybody took a science class, you know, there's trials. There's what's the lab, but what's the E word?
E-word.
In the lab. When I do a lab.
Experiment?
Yeah, experimental. My fault. It's experimental. So I guess what's the anticipation, or not even the anticipation, you kind of answered it already, but what's the heartbeat of it? Is it the fact that it's your curiosity running rampant, but a professional curiosity, a stimulating curiosity to what I arrive at, I did not know, and boom, now I've created something. You know, I have a part and a hand in helping cure and find and discover.
Well, so just to make sure I understand you, you're more so saying the heartbeat of just the interest in science, or the heartbeat of Zima?
Heartbeat of Zima.
I would say the heartbeat of Zima is understanding just how many people in the world actually have ailments, and just how many infectious diseases kill people. In and of itself, we take it back 4 years ago, we lost millions of people to COVID.
Yeah.
So being able to sit into a space to where all these great minds in the world stop from whatever discipline that they're focusing on and dedicate everything to this one joint and create this vaccine in a matter of like 2 months or 3 months, whatever the case is. I would say just knowing that you can make the impossible possible. I would say that's the heartbeat.
Gotcha. But yeah, I mean, being as though you know, Zima is starting a business, starting a brand, starting anything is simple. May not be easy to do. There's a lot of factors into it. There's just the initial foundation. There's building a team, which is extremely difficult. If you ask me, I think it's probably the most difficult part of the process. Because once that foundation is built, I mean, we just, you know, stack it on top of that. But we talked before, and we're talking about the term fixated on fear. And a lot of what gets in our way is the fearful of the unknown. You're talking about arriving at the unknown before we even get there, are we scared of what might happen? Are we scared of succeeding? Are we scared of failing? So what is their fear, and what was the fear channeled from that you carried? Now, let me reposition that. The fear. Is the fear that you have, do you have fear? Like, have you had fear, or is fear a part of your story? If the answer, yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. And so from that fear, how much of that fear blocked your blessing or blocked you from starting a process? That's relationally, that's Zima across the board.
I would say relationship wise, whether it be just general connections or romantic love, I started to find those things when I began to be open to actually wanting to connect with someone on a level that's genuine, right? Like a raw, bare, naked vulnerability where all the outside layer of me can just slosh off, and this person can see me for who Jason Tyrone Clark is. So to answer your question, like, I would say romantically, fear has blocked me in the past because it put me in situations where, like I mentioned earlier, I started to go outside of myself to look for those things. And it put me in situations where I'm navigating my sexual life with an agenda. And it put me in situations where the romantic piece, I kept getting asked, am I not good enough for you, basically? And then I could never answer that question because often the only answer I would have is, Mom, I'm not even good enough for myself, so I can't even really be what you want me to be. So I can just give you this pseudo love and leave forever because I know you'll remember me for the moments that we had. But nonetheless, it was just pseudo, right? So then taking it a step further, it put me in spaces where I could give pseudo love, or
for those of us who don't know, pseudo love.
So pseudo just means fake, basically. So it put me in situations where sexually I could give myself to women, but then emotionally I could get to a point, but then it's like, we touching your emotions, whoa,
gotcha.
We gonna dial back a little bit.
Yeah. And how did that transition over to you as an aspiring, would it be a research biologist in the scientific realm, to you opening opportunities or creating opportunities for yourself in the field, in your career, in the way you want to go?
I would say, remember how we talked about like just openness in life?
Yeah.
Like, I learned being open and being curious, it puts you in situations where no matter how hard you want to keep to yourself, if something, whatever that higher power is, if it wants you to go get that thing, it's going to put people in your space and just, connect the dots for you, right? So I was just blessed enough to meet people on the journey where even though I was still naturally, I guess a loner, if you want to call it that, more comfortable in my own company, but can still pop in and out of any circle, whatever the case is, especially as an athlete, you know how that moves. It put me in a situation where as much as I'm a hooper, as much as I enjoy fashion, whatever the case is, how you look at yourself like that?
I'm over here listening, man. Minding my business. Why you worried about me?
My bad. Back on task. It put me in a situation where even though as a hooper or as an athlete, I would still resonate naturally with people who would be in the lab. But yet they're looking at me as, you're not really one of us.
Yeah.
But then on the back end, just having conversations with people, it's like, oh, I judged you. I put my expectations on you because of what I'm used to seeing.
Yeah.
So in that same space, that level of fear of I'm always out of place. Like I never really felt like I had a place. And even still now, I don't really feel like I have that many places, but I have community.
I don't really have that many places, but I have community. Talk about that, because I'm trying to 1 + 1 = 2 it right now. I'm trying to put the math together. You don't have that many places, but you have community, meaning where you roam, but you have a home. What does that mean? You don't have that many places, but you have community.
Okay, so walking back to walk forward, at least for myself, I would say home is more so a state of mind, is not really a place to me personally.
Okay.
So when I say I don't really have that many places, I mean, naturally, I understand that I have to be vulnerable and show different pieces of myself via compassion, empathy, and
Right.
just, stepping down from the ladder, right?
Yeah.
And coming down, to just whoever it is, right?
Yeah.
And putting myself in situations to
Yeah.
just connect, as opposed to just being in my box and being in my bubble and just saying, I'm not interested in what you're doing just because I'm not interested in what you're doing, as opposed to saying, what are you doing? Can you show me about it? Can you talk to me about it? So I say that in a space because it put me in a situation where, because I enjoy architecture, because I enjoy science, research,
Yeah.
biology at a core level, because I think about interplanetary travel, cybernetics, robotics, art, all these different things, it allows me to connect to all the people in those communities.
Yeah.
But naturally, it's not too many people who have all those communities within themselves like I do. So naturally, there are times where I just feel like, damn, kind of lonely.
Gotcha.
But then it puts me in a thought process where, like I said, that awareness comes into mind, and it's like, oh no, that's just a thought.
Yeah.
I'm not actually lonely, I just need to connect with people that connect with me.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we, if I may, and please correct me if I'm wrong, what I'm hearing is that your mind creates so many thoughts, so many emotions, so many places you want to go, so many things you want to do, and that those that you interact with might not be able to stimulate all those thoughts. So then, therefore, outside of this one thing that we got, it's not really much going on right there. Is that right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so I heard you talk about, it was kind of one of those things where I've had these conversations where I'm like, you ask people how you doing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do you really care? Like, do you really care? And I know it's the polite thing to do, and it's even more prevalent down south, and how excited people get down south, and more peaceful, I guess you could say, respectful or genuine beings, perceived to be. But do you really care? And if I'm asking you what you're doing, am I interested in what you're doing? Or am I asking to potentially open myself up to be interested based on what your response is?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think about myself, that's a combination between being authentic, genuine.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say fake, but you're kind of opening yourself. You're like, all right, man, I've been to myself for so long. I don't even know really what I'm interested in outside of what I'm interested in. So let me just go ahead and make conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And through that, I discovered, I'm just a blunt person, right? Like, if you ask me what's going on, I'm just going to tell you straight up. I didn't always know how to flex my social styles or empathy or be an empath or show necessarily compassion or just that empathy or soft spot, acknowledging whatever that it is that you may feel, experience, go through, all of that. And I noticed that putting it back on myself,
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of I'm not as comfortable with confrontation than I thought I was. And I'll expound on that because I know you like what that means.
Break it down for me.
I'm very comfortable telling you exactly how I feel.
Okay.
But going back to the fear, if I was to humble myself, take my pride out of it, to be able to say something in a way that you'll receive it,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it comes to business or when it comes to something I'm trying to get done,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, dang, I gotta slow down, break it down to whoever the receiving end is.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be able to receive it and give me what I need. And that is very uncomfortable, especially if it's a business deal or something. I'm like, man, you're just not doing your part. Basically what I want to say.
Right.
But if I were to go in and, hey, you're not doing your part, man, I done all this, like, where's the product? Or where's the end? You know what I'm saying? We're connecting the dots here, and the dots ain't connect. Like, I can't go to that person. So I think for me, in this stage of experience, exploration, discovery,
Mm-hmm.
I understand that is something that I have a constant friction with in trying to be comfortable, putting that pride aside to reach that other person, because a lot of that for me, I think blunt is time. And I think we don't have a lot of time to go through the BS in between. So I'm hoping that you can take this. That is not what I'm looking for. This is what I'm looking for. I'm hoping that you can take that and run with it, and I'm not being an a-hole. But that does not work in society.
Doesn't.
And so that is something that makes me uncomfortable. That is something that has challenged me and possibly have stumped me in some areas. And I think that overall, you know, I would consider myself a successful individual, but that's something that I'm going to have to master. I'm going to have to, you know, they say, you know, being uncomfortable, be comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's a weird thing. I feel like comparatively, when you look at the things that make people uncomfortable, that's a weird or odd thing to be uncomfortable about. But like, that's something I'm uncomfortable with. Like, because I have to go meet that person where they are with delicacy and gentle and like whatever it is. And there's no problem with empathy. And I've come to grow to learn that. And I feel good in that when I do meet people where they're at. But there is certain instances where I'm like, the fear that what I say, that person might not receive it, one. Two, is going to ruin that relationship, whether it's business, platonic, or romantic.
True.
And three, ultimately, what I'm trying to create, as in doubt of success, as in no doubt, as in this brand, this staple, is it going to crumble or affect that? And so for me, that's a weird space to be in. And so when we talk about fear, like, I feel like interactions in general and conversations and the way that we come across in daily life, building relationships, I felt like I was great at that. I felt like that was something I was really good at doing, but there is a fear behind all of that as well, because I don't want it to crumble and fall. And I don't want people to feel like I'm this person that I'm not, just based on my delivery in that one situation.
I mean, I definitely think beautifully said, because me and you have had these conversations plenty of times. And I think, and I credit this to you, like you said, like, you know, for me, it was stepping out of that same transparent, blunt, to the point delivery. And thinking about, okay, if I say this way, in this tone, these inflection points, and put emphasis on this thing, I think I got it. As opposed to, nah, that's calculated. As opposed to just sitting there thinking, hey, how does that person typically feel when they converse with you? What do you not want them to feel? And think about how you want them to feel with this information, right? And what the end result is, like you said, what the goal is. And I think me being a very naturally logical person, I'm in a space now where I gotta let the emotions run a little longer on high, because I know where the logic cap is. I don't fully know where the emotion cap is. So in turn, I'm sitting
I don't
more.
think there is one, bro.
I agree.
I'm sorry. I ain't even gonna tell you. I really don't even think there is one. I think we can fill up a room with our emotions, because we're constantly, even as we look around this room, you done had, I would arguably say, thousands of thoughts, but unconsciously. I mean, you probably know more than I do with research in terms of, but like, yeah, but back to what you saying, my fault.
Absolutely, no problem. I would definitely say, like, just the overall connection piece, like you said. So me working in research, like, I learned in a clinical space, I can't talk to people in clinical the same way as I talk to regulatory or admin. I can't talk to admin the same way as I talk to engineers. I can't talk to the engineering team the same way I'm talking to if we want to get into the management words, the overall stakeholders or people, you know, funding everything. And I can't talk to them the same way as I talk to, obviously, a little kid who may be interested in that same process, right? So being able to deduce different information, be able to put it in the ball and then regurgitate it in a way where somebody can consume it. It really, it's a skill in and of itself, like you said.
Skill set.
And I feel like, for me, watching you, we have a tendency to think we're better at things than we actually are. But I also realize it comes from a lens of, I guess, a Kobe mentality. You know, when you're putting in the work, so I can be this way. But that's not okay, is what I feel like we've had to sit in, especially, like you said, building teams. And I feel like that's a great segue into, you know, creating teams. Like you said, you feel like that's the hardest part about it. What do you feel like is the hardest part about it? So I would say, like, with me having 5 team members, why would you say it would be hard for you to also find 5 great team members?
Trust and relinquishing control.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that they both go hand in hand, because if I trust you, I'm able to relinquish control.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a vision for what I want to create, but I also know that I'm a creative in my own right, but these other individuals in this world are also creatives in their own right.
Mm-hmm.
So how do I bring the creatives for this creation together so that I can say, yep, you play your role beautifully, but if I don't have people that I come across, like, yeah, they're interested, like, what you doing is dope, cool, but I haven't really had nobody, hey, look, man, I'm trying to partner with you, or look, I'm trying to, but I also kind of haven't sat down to the point where I can figure out, and I haven't, but intentionally to the point where I can figure out, hey, like, I need people to play these roles, and I'm growing to get there, and I definitely have, especially with this, this is something that I'm beginning to do so with, but I think that's the thing is trust, because I gotta trust that the vision that I have created, you can make it come to fruition. And if you all the way over there with that, and it's just simple as getting a graphic design done.
Mm-hmm.
We going back and forth. You giving me one graphic design, I'm telling you, bro, this is not my style.
Right.
And you keep going on with that.
Right.
I'm like, man, I don't know what to say, because then now I get the blunt. So it's a lot to go into it, but just sorry for being long-winded, but just a long story short is I got to be able to trust to relinquish control.
I learned in life, the moment you start controlling shit is the moment you lose everything. So, like you said, relationships romantically, I got to a point where I started resisting the friction to actually be who I wanted to be emotionally. So it put me in a space to where it's like, I know I want this. I know this is for me,
Man.
but I'm terrified of going through these emotional doors, because if I go inside myself, and so when I connected to my emotions completely, I put a label on them. I called them little brother, because I was emotionally immature. And regardless of how, I guess, well put together the thoughts were or the communication was, it showed up in different ways where I could be outside the emotions and not be connected to them, but turn them on in the space where they're playing background music and I'm not aware of it. So then being aware of it, I can go say, hey, emotions, this happened. What should I do? Because I feel inadequate right now. Like, I don't got the tools. Like, come on, baby, I need you help me with the situation. And little brother emotions would freely, no ifs, ands, or buts, no, and again, all internal, kind of conversations, put me in a situation where it's like, hey, I just want to be with you again. So let me guide you on this, right? And it would guide me, walk me through, and then it's like, that's the Jason that I want to be. I believe the ratio of who you are with who you want to be is fate. Let me break it down to you. So if you think about it like this, right?
Y'all listening. Y'all listening.
So I believe as humans, right, we always want to have it together. We don't know what we're doing, right? Like, we just don't know what we're doing, but everybody got it figured out. Everybody's a self-help guru. Everybody's an expert. And don't get me wrong, I would never take away from anybody, especially, if you have formal training in that thing and you're passionate about it, right? But in that same space, everybody is individual. And I had a tendency to make space for people and put people in that space, as opposed to making space for relationships and growing it and nurturing it with people. So then when it got to a point where those relationships outgrew the space I made for it, I panicked.
Because you getting a little too big for your britches right there. You ain't supposed to be that big.
Exactly. And then even on a deeper point, like you said, more so in a disconnected space, it's like, oh, I didn't think I could care this much. And then being fully connected, it revealed a different layer to where it's like, oh shit, like, I care. Cared. Still care.
Right.
So that in and of itself will put me in a space to where, like I said, I believe luck is just when preparation meets opportunity, right? And I myself I deal with anxiety, you know, like not diagnosed, but clearly like I'm anxious. I have anxious thoughts. But then chopping that block down to, oh, I'm excited.
Yeah.
Right. And then even kind of breaking that piece down to, oh, I'm not prepared for this. So I'm anxious.
Yeah.
And then I might have situations where I am prepared for it, but I want it. I want it. So therefore, I'm still anxious. I'm still on nerve, right?
Yeah.
I'm excited. And then kind of diving deeper, I've learned if I had the ability at different points, granted, you know, the past is the past, you know, we lose things all the time. If I had the ability to be more aware of my emotions and put labels on them, I would have been able to be cognizant of the fact that my anxiety is a tool that helps me understand when I actually give a fuck about something, as opposed to, oh, this is too much. Oh, and that's always how I've navigated life. Anytime things got emotionally overwhelming for me, because I'm so sensitive to sensations, to the world, and all these different things, the only way that I could survive, i.e., what got me there, was to turn it off. But now, like you said, in relationships and connections, I can't do it anymore. Especially if I want to be, you know, in partnerships, relationships, life partnerships, connections, all these different things, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's well said. I mean, go back to what you said. You said the difference between what and what is fate or fake?
Fate. So I believe fate is the ratio of who you are with who you want to be.
Fate is ratio.
Like if you think about it, right? Like this is Devin Garrett. This is Doubting Success right now.
Yeah.
You have this vision that you have in your...
No doubt. It's part of Doubting Success. Doubting Success create no doubt. Sign up.
No, you're good. You have this vision of who Devin Garrett, or this understanding of who Devin Garrett and No Doubt and Doubted Success is and are, like right now at this moment, in your head, but really, if you want to think about it, more importantly, in your heart.
Yeah.
So if you kind of dive and pull back the layers to that in the future, right? Like just revealing time, you know, time to build things. Shout out to the amazing Dr. Hall. Time to do things, right? It puts you in a space to where life is going to happen, whatever spiritual, you know, or religion you dive into when you have, you know, the moments where you're not sure and you've relinquished that control like we talked about. I feel like when you sit in that unknown, that's when you give yourself space to grow. And then that's that ratio of, hey, this is who I want to be. This is who I am. How do we get there?
Yeah.
And it's the balance, because ideally, you're probably not going to be that person that you ideally see. Like if you think about it, you're not ideally the person you thought you wanted to be 10 years ago. I'm damn sure not.
Yeah. It's one of them things where we got our own plans, but God has something else for us. And when I think about we want something, but I gotta be the person to do the thing, to have what it is I want. And so we don't even realize that at the time, especially when we want something that we've never had before. So we see, or we may communicate with people that we have that been there, the things that we have to do to have it. But am I even the person yet to be able to do? Because I think some of it is not even physically doing, it's the emotional doing. Like you said, the allowing stuff to come in, allowing stuff to fill the emptiness, going back to how you felt, fill the emptiness that we once felt. And so I got to allow life to run its course. And I got to allow this journey to do what it's supposed to do so that I can become the person to do what it is that I want to have. And I just think that that's a beautiful transition to, I think, how the correlation in my mind of how you became who you are and the things that you're interested in today, that being science and art and fashion, is that curiosity. You have always been curious. And to be the person that you will be, to channel that curiosity, and have been, to channel that curiosity to create things, to have an artistic eye. And I'm thinking, when I'm listening to the story now, and just in real time, I'm thinking that your curiosity or your interest in art came from the derivatives of science and the world of how it looks. And now you take that out of science and you put that into the expression. Like you had said something before along the lines of like an illustration. And in the medical field, when you're doing experiments, you didn't say it to this C, but I'm trying to explain it. It's like an illustration of the experiment to be able to break it down so that other people who may not understand it, that 8-year-old kid that's interested in science, that 40-year-old person who has no idea what you're doing, the college person studying what you're in, all of that. There's different ways to communicate with those individuals, but that's art. There's different ways to communicate with individuals through art, through illustration, through painting, through music, through the way you dress. So getting into that, that's what I got from it. Now tell me if I'm wrong, that's cool. I'm still a little on my high horse, but like, nah, but I really think that for me sitting over here, it's like, wow, his story, where he came from, you know, how he grew up, those that are in his life, those that I know of that are in his life. How could this person at that time, 6 years ago, be into art? And when he tells me he's into art, you're into art? You're into fashion? You care about this? You care about that? That's kind of a softer, smoother version of intimidation. That intimidation factor kind of go down a little bit. And you invite people into your space with that. But that's kind of how I see the art piece. And I think expanding on, you know, your interest in art would do us great justice for the conversation.
Definitely, man. I would say being more aware now, I understand just how valuable, again, shout out to the great Sharita, Dr. Hall, excuse me. Understanding how to go inside, right? And
Baby, are you inside?
so, you know, taking the time to grow from just being able to have breathing exercises for 5 minutes to this morning being a little overwhelmed or anxious about different thoughts or different things. And like we said, the unknown and me not controlling it. So the only thing I can do is control how I feel and what I sit in and where my thoughts lie to a 40-minute meditation this morning, you know? So it put me in a space to where I understand how to have core things to ground me. And I'm gonna circle to the art piece, right? Yeah. So I love nature more than I love science. And not many people would understand that, right? But my core is nature in order specifically. Nature, art, connection, science, architecture, right? And then pulling the rope from each of those pieces, it's like everything is interconnected. So I'm not the most religious person, but I'm very much spiritual. So, you know, I just replace the universe with God. I mean, I just replace everything, God with the universe, you know, if we kind of touching on that, right? So leaning into the universe and leaning into nature, I understand everything is connected. Everything is connected. And there's situations and thoughts where you can't have art without nature. Art's inspired by nature. You can't have nature without art. Art creates nature. Nature creates art. Art is nature. Nature is art. And then on the back end, science. Science explains all of it. And then on a different end, architecture, the building, the creation of it. That puts me in a situation where I'm not creatively gifted, but I'm blessed to be able to surround myself with people to where when I'm able to open an art gallery, I can just put people that want to bless and share their gifts with the world and just give them the reign to do that, you know? So I would say just being able to think about how everything is connected and being able to see the beauty from a feminine perspective, predominantly being raised by women. And I think that's why I'm just naturally more comfortable around women than men. Like I'm more in tune with my femininity than most men are, right? And it puts me in a situation where I'm okay with being myself. And being a straight man, a lot of men feel like, oh, it's cliche to go ahead and get your nails done, get your toes done. You kicking it with your lady, you know, y'all, you can't pamper her, she can't pamper you. No, that's vulnerability. That's intimacy, you know? And then just last piece, taking it a step further, everybody thinks of intimacy as sex. Intimacy just means closeness, you know? So having that level of vulnerability and closeness, that in and of itself is art because it takes time and creation.
To put a bow on it, we've gone back and forth. We've gone back to go forward. We've gone forward to go backward. All of that. But what has freed you? Like, what was the turning point that just like you became like one, like you were able to breathe?
I can't quite say as much as I was able to breathe, as much as I was able to release in the form of crying. Because being put in a situation where moving to Atlanta, right, building the life that I wanted to build for myself over 5 years in Atlanta, and not taking care of things in such a way where I was able to be vulnerable, put me in a space to where it's like, oh, I was lacking these things. I had the awareness, but I didn't have the awareness that I have now to remove selfishness and be consistent. Remember when I said, like, I can go to the emotions and say, hey, emotions, how should we, or hey, little brother, how can we, take care of this emotional situation because I feel inadequate, right? And then emotions would give me the answer unapologetically because they just wanted to be with me, be whole again. It put me in a space to where I will run and respond the correct way, but I wasn't consistent, right? And our triggers and our traumas and our struggles should never be an excuse for how we currently show up. And I feel like when we put ourselves in situations, like, it gives us a rein it gave me a rein losing what I had thought I could handle. Like you said, we may not truly be able to handle the load because we're not all we need to be, like you said, right? It put me in a space to where losing what I quote quote thought was my everything in all these different spaces of my life challenged me to see just how I could have done things so differently. Right? But then again, shout out to the great Dr. Hall.
We might need to do a part 2 with her to assist us for real.
But having her and again, thank you for passing that, thinking highly enough to me to even introduce me to your godmother.
For sure.
And put me in a situation where she holds the mirror up, right?
For sure.
And reminding me, like, hey, I need you to not say you gave your things your all. You gave them what you thought you could, but you knew you could have done differently. So we got to be very careful how we handle in these situations in these next chapters, because I don't want you sitting there living in the past. That's depression. But you also can't be so anxious and hopeful about something that may or may not happen.
Facts.
And be overly anxious, right? So again, that awareness comes into play. So, and my bad, putting a bow on it, like you said, what became freeing was love, right? Just love, romantic love, relationships, general friendships, family, understanding that oftentimes the people that always cared about me were very deeply emotionally aware. And I learned in any relationship, you can't hide your insecurities if you truly want to be in that relationship, right? So being in different dynamics of different relationships, I learned, like you said, being very transparent, very straightforward. I would often call people overly passionate, just a word for emotional, right? But they don't respond to it that way because it's just like, oh yeah, I am passionate. Like, nah, you emotional. But sitting in that thought, right? It's like, I remember Dr. Hall asked me, she was like, do you think people who show emotions are weak? At that time, I said, yeah, wholeheartedly weak. Like, nah. But then over time and over the course of different things and understanding that as great as relationships and dynamics were and are, the people that truly were special to me, if I wanted to keep them in my life or in order to keep them in my life, they fucking needed this piece of me that I kept hidden. And in turn, it showed up as insecurities and self-sabotage and different things because I felt inadequate emotionally. And then it made me feel like, okay, this person is so emotionally aware or emotionally in tune with themselves and strong enough to remove themselves from situations or whatever the case is. And I can't understand that because I don't have the emotional maturity, but yet I can be at peace with it because I don't cry over spilled milk. It's just like, things happen, unfortunately. But in that same space, it put me in a thought to where I was able to understand, again, what got me here, this survival of being stoic, showing no emotion, being disconnected, not letting anybody get close to me because I have abandonment issues from my father, or different things like that that I, sculpted over time to quote unquote survive emotionally.
Yeah.
That can't be here anymore.
Yeah. And I mean, let's touch on that, because we went from being 10 or 11 saying, Pops, I don't even want to holler at you no more. Like, I don't even like this dynamic, to growing and being curious. I remember when you were curious and you were like, damn, what if or dang, I kind of really want to, but we tiptoeing around. I talk to him here and there, to now me being able to meet him in person.
That's my
see
dog.
him and see, you know what I'm saying? Like, with just a few years of physically being connected and physically being able to be in the same room without the confines or the restrictions, like, I feel like if I had to say part of what freed you was letting all that go to give y'all the opportunity, because you had to give him the opportunity to step into that, what you always wanted, but he couldn't physically give you.
Right.
And so, I mean, just to see that and touch on that, I mean, my opinion, that's one of the top three things that I feel like have freed you amongst, what you just broke down.
Yeah, for sure, man. And that's what I mean by love. And again, not specifically, familial or romantic, just love, right?
Yeah.
But if we are getting specific, romantic and familial love really became freeing for me. So very special people in my life helped me understand how to give people the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
And that needed to happen because one of my great friends is a very well-known publicist, right? And we connected over the pandemic, still very close to this day.
Yeah.
And he actually helped me, get Zima Industries publishing a couple articles, Urban Arts and Heart and Soul, right? And we would always just have little conversation nightcaps, right? Where we just kicking, drinking, talking, just vulnerable conversations, right? Yeah. And I remember he was like, do you have or this was around like 2021, right? So me and my father connected in 2022, gotcha. I think. Yeah. And I was like, no. And again, me not being aware of just sitting in the thought of, no, but I want my dad to be present, right? Yeah. So just naturally, it was, no, let's do it. That's it. Next topic. Yeah. But then he probed it more, right? And it put me in a situation, and I'll never forget it. He broke it down like this. He was like, okay. So he asked me a couple more questions, and he was like, you know what, and he paused. And I was like, it's about to be some shit that I don't want to hear. But it snapped something that allowed me to go to him. And mind you, this is a man that has had to sit in prison, right? In survival mode, without any communication from his son, any communication really from anybody that he loves, you know? So I can only imagine how he felt just sitting with that, knowing that he wanted a relationship with me and knowing just actually how great of a man he was. But I built this vision in my mind of who he was, right? Yeah. But he said, you're just that same hurt little boy, and you just don't want to face that. Yeah. Couldn't say anything. Because initially, again, without the awareness, I'm good. But the awareness kicked in and it was like, you're right. Humble. So it put me in situations where, like you said, that freeing space of having special people or a special person be with me to express that vulnerability. Yeah. The biggest fear that I had, truth be told, about connecting with my father was losing the anger and the drive to be successful. Because from the time I was maybe 10, 11, how I excelled in sports, how I excelled in school, how I excelled with women, how I excelled with just being that smooth, debonair dude I felt like I always had to be, it stemmed from me showing my father from a distance, I don't need you, I've never needed you.
Yeah.
So then that fear came into where it's like, oh, damn, if I connect with him, I know that anger is going to leave. Yeah. So then I think my motivation is going to leave. I don't think I'll be able to hit the gym now as hard.
Yeah.
Like I'm only all of 165 now, 175.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think I'll be able to put up 205, 225 no more because I don't have that place to pull from.
Right.
So then closing the loop on that, it's crazy. Like the only thing, and I remember Gilbert Arenas said this about his son Elijah, like the only thing from some people to get out is like survival and hurt, right? And that was my father. Like he thrived off of survival and hurt. For myself, the only way that I could really get to where I'm going, what got me here is going to get me there. So how to get there was to sit in love.
And let all that go.
Yeah.
Man, that's a blessing, man. And to be able to watch it, I commend you. That's a roller coaster. I mean, that's a very long roller coaster. And that fall at first, it don't stop for a while.
Nope.
It's like a bottomless pit. And another person said they had to go through the floor to get to the ceiling. And whether we're at the ceiling or not, we're higher than probably you'd say you've ever been, emotionally, physically, spiritually, you know, to say the least. And I love to watch that. And so that's why I invited you to share this platform with you, because I feel like you yourself are someone to look at, whether you feel like that or not. Like you yourself, your story, your being, your presence, your energy, and especially the way you speak to those you love now, speak to me. If it's just something small, like I see you, like that's all people need, and like that's all some of us really need. And like, look, I'm seen, I'm felt, I'm appreciated, and so you're seen, you're felt, you're appreciated, and I hope you feel that. And you know, as we put everything together, you know, you've traveled, you've lived, you created a life for yourself in Atlanta. Now you're back in Maryland, and you know, where are you now to say, all right, like what are you doing now to rebuild and I guess touch up that foundation, you know, that was cracked from you blocking out all of those things to fill and make it as complete as you want it to be.
Yeah, man, definitely beautifully said. I would say, like you said, we're going to have to do a whole episode. Yeah. I remember, you know, so the whole, you know, connection that you bridged for me with Dr. Hall was because, you know, she's an exec in the biotech space, right? So with that, we would have conversations, and I remember she was like, you know, you sound exactly like a lot of these biotech CEOs that I work with. And I was like, thank you. She's like, it's not a compliment. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I just met you.
Right.
But not knowing she wanted me to be different. She wanted me to be a leader who led with empathy, who led with humility. And she recognized the only way that I could do that is if we went down this emotional road that I needed to go to connect with the emotions and label them, right? So it put me in a space where having a team, and again, Zima Industries, shout out to Dustin Parsons, Hector C. May, Linnea Boyden, Dr. Frana of Salisbury University, Angela of Aries Biotech, like having these great community of people around me put me in spaces where exactly like we said, I know with this one team member as a physician, I can't talk to him the same way as I talk to my other team member that's a pharmacist, but I kind of can.
Yeah.
And then I can't talk to my cardiology medical device specialist as I'm talking to both of them. Yeah. And I know I can't talk to our professional consultant, Dr. Frana, as a virologist about just the art of building it. So in that space, it currently, like you said, I'm building that foundation of connection. Yeah. And I challenge you, like you said, I realize everybody's always so quick to say I'm an entrepreneur. I personally don't like the word entrepreneur. We can talk about that another time.
Gotcha.
But like, people are always so quick to just want to jump into business with people. It's like when you date, you vet that person, right? You know,
Man,
if
tell me about it.
exactly.
Forget the dating. I mean, the business space. You got to vet. But to tie it all together, like, you know, you coming back to Maryland, building a life in Atlanta for the last 5 years. Where are you currently now? What are you working on? Where does that leave you?
Yeah, so I would say, thankfully enough, you know, I've been able to, you know, rebound back from about a 10-month layoff. So being able to get back into the biotech clinical landscape. So now, you know, research consulting for a major hospital, hopefully for a medical device company, moving Zima, you know, back into a place of developing a product, a service, and then profitability,
Yeah.
or venture capital, you know, obtaining funding. Working on a contractor's license for home improvement. So my father having a home improvement company or home improvement business, being able to, you know, have him kick back and, you know, just generate things and means for that.
Yeah.
Also, like you said, the art. I love landscaping, pruning trees or gardening, planting flowers. So I have a landscaping company called Green Arches. And then also just in the space of just discovery, like we said.
Yeah. Well, again, man, all these things, I'm glad to have you back where I'm at.
Oh, my bad. Food truck too. Humble Hustlers. Check it out.
Tap into all of that, man, and we definitely gonna tap into your success in the future. I mean, I know you got me for life. I'm right here, right with you.
Man.
You know, right, watching you build, create, and inspire in the life that you want to live. So appreciate that provoking thought through conversation, man. And thanks for joining me, bro.
From me to you,
Love you,
man.
man.
Appreciate you. Love you too.
For sure.
Proud of the growth.
I'm counting blessings more than people counting sheep in they sleep. And they don't make it where I'm from, and I'm so thankful it's me.